Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Ascended Cast. We have a very special guest, everyone. We're excited about this, so we're going to go ahead and dive into it. This is your boy Shiloh.
Your boy John.
Your boy Matt.
And welcome to the stage, Mr.
Kevon Lee. It's amazing to be here, man.
There we go, man. Like I said, I was just telling you this before we got on. It is a blessing to have you on. This has been one that we've been plotting, waiting, we're scheduling.
I know, right? It's been like 3 months in the making.
I know.
We've been trying to cook this one up here for all of our viewers and listeners. Like I said, this is a very special man in what he does. Motivational speaker, man's gonna be an author. You're so much already, and like I said, I feel like the journey for you is just getting started.
Oh, yeah, just getting started. I got so much in plan.
You got so much in plan. So go ahead, and brother, just go ahead to tell the viewers and the listeners just your backstory and everything else, man.
Man, so when you say my backstory, there's so much to it, right?
Yes, sir.
So do you want to know more about my childhood or what?
Yeah, let's start from ground zero.
Okay,
let's start
ground
from
zero, right?
Childhood.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, man. Growing up in San Bernardino, everybody know about San Bernardino. It's a very hostile place, right? It's not a place you want to raise your kids. Matter of fact, when I got to an age, I said, you know what? I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm getting out of San Bernardino. I said I have to get out of San Bernardino because I realized there was a generational cycle within my family that if I stay here, I was either going to end up on drugs, I was going to be in prison, or I was just going to end up dead. And I knew that. And I knew that at a young age. So I said, okay, Kevon, when you get to a certain age and you can actually get out of here, you're going to get out of here. But yeah, man, just growing up young, parents on drugs, parents alcoholics. And I ended up getting shot because of it at the age of 5. And so I had to go to the foster care system. In the foster care system, I went through a lot of battles, hopping from home to home until I finally got my grandmother. There was times where we were homeless. We had to stay at people's houses. We had to stay at the Economy Inn in San Bernardino. We had to stay in our car. So, just growing up, it was rough, man. What's crazy is I remember at 13, I asked my grandmother, I said, hey, Grandma, when are you going to prison, right? No, seriously, right? Because I was like, hey, Grandma, like, you're weird. Like, when are you going to prison? And she said, baby, I've never been to prison. When she said that, it shocked me because I literally thought once I graduated from high school, prison. Because everybody in my family been to prison. Yeah. Like, everybody in my family been to prison. Like, brother, mom, dad, cousins, auntie, uncle, no matter who it is, they all go to prison. And so I thought this was the norm.
Yeah, you were just thinking, like, all right, well, like, obviously you're a little bit older, so, like,
yeah.
When did you do your time? And then just, hey, that's crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Man, that's wild, man. And, you said there's that switch in you that no matter what, where or how, you have to leave everything. Were you the only one? Was that like a lonely feeling? Was there others around you at that time that were like yeah, let's get out or anything else, or was that a lonely road for you?
I would definitely say I'm the black sheep in my family. I do things non-traditional, so I went on my own path. I didn't really listen to a lot of people in my family because you can't take me somewhere you never been. You get me? And so that's why I leaned on mentors who've been to the point where I'm like, okay, I want to get there, but not only do I want to get there, I want to surpass that. And so, yeah, man, when it came to like people in my family, I would definitely say, and this is like a humble brag, but I would definitely say I'm like at the top.
Really?
Yeah. Definitely.
And how does that feel now with everything you've been through and everything to be at that point?
I mean, honestly, it feels good, but I'm not done yet. Like, I have so many goals and plans, like just for the next year, just for the next 5-10 years. Like I wrote a contract with myself, like, all right, Kevon, you got to accomplish these things by this time. And I'm a very persistent but dedicated person. Like I want to do something, and I don't stop until I do it. Like I don't care what the obstacle, what the circumstance is, no matter what it is, I'm going to keep going until I get my goal.
Wow.
That's how you got to be, man. Because this world, I mean, honestly, I'm a person, I want to see everybody win, right? And I'm pretty sure you guys want to see everybody win, but everybody's not built like that. This is like a dog-eat-dog world. So you have to literally go out there and get what you deserve. And the only way you're going to get what you deserve is if you earn it.
I was just talking about this yesterday, because this is at like a level of like why things can't be done well. And I was like, what happens with a lot of people is they have great intentions, and great intentions are great, but there has to be productive execution.
Yeah.
And if you're not executing on what you're doing, whatever you say, it doesn't mean anything if you're not putting action, you're not executing what you're supposed to do. And I like how you use the contract, because what does a contract mean? It means that if you don't fulfill those requirements, if you don't fulfill those obligations, you don't get paid, or you don't get whatever's entitled with it.
Exactly.
And that's where the execution comes from. So I like that, because, like you said, you have these goals, you have these things that you want to do that you said you're not done yet, and it's a level of just like, I wrote the contract for myself, so if I don't execute, then I don't get those rewards. I don't get that pay.
Exactly. And what's crazy about it is, going down this road, like how you said, is lonely, right? So becoming a motivational speaker, it was kind of a lonely road, because people like, I mean, Kevon, you have a great voice. Like, you really know how to wow a crowd. You know how to woo a crowd. Like, you're amazing, right? But how are you going to pay for insurance if you do this full time? How are you going to buy a house? How are you going to do this and that? How are you going to, your checks aren't, consistent. Like, how are you going to be stable? And I'm like, I'm not worried about that, 'cause I got God on my side. And so a lot of people didn't understand that, because everybody around me is the traditional, 9-to-5 job. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? There's nothing wrong with that at all. But I knew that my purpose was greater than just to stay behind a desk. I knew that I needed to get out in the world. And so when I started believing in myself, right? Because I mean, we all can say we believe in ourselves, but when the closest people to you saying, I don't think that's a great idea, I don't think you should do that. Like I said, what about insurance? And, insurance is expensive. You start to get that sense of doubt, right? But then you have to rewind and remember, okay, why you started this in the first place.
Yeah. I can relate to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. My parents, when I left firefighting to do what I'm doing now, they try to, like, talk all this shit, just try and, like, just scare me and make me feel a certain way. And I was like, my bad. So they were trying to, like, scare me out of it, make me feel a certain way, get emotional. And I literally had to tell them, look them in the face, like, everything you're telling me might be true to some degree, but like I'm still doing it. I'm not gonna not do this. Like,
exactly. Like, you won't know until you actually go and do it.
Yeah, it's like you said, you have God on your side. Is that faith? It's like, there are the what ifs, there are the scary unknowns, like, but that's the point.
Exactly.
Like that, like, that's why a lot of people don't do it.
Exactly.
I'm a big believer, and I'd rather say that I tried and failed than never tried at all.
Yeah.
It's one of those things I don't want to be that person in 15 or 20 years that's telling my kid or my nephew or my niece or my grandkids, like, oh no, you shouldn't do that, or you can't do that. Because if I never did it or never tried to do it, like, who am I to say that they can't do it? So that's my thing, is I want to be an example.
Exactly.
I want to be an example, whether if it goes through or not goes through. At least I can pay that game forward and help whoever needs that game next.
Exactly. And when it comes to chasing success, like you said, I'd rather fail, right? And I'd rather do the thing and fail at it and know that in my mind and in my heart, like, okay, it just didn't work out, instead of being behind fear. And that's what a lot of people are. A lot of people are fearful to see the outcome, right? Because they automatically think, because we are brainwashed to think that the negative is the best. And what I mean by that is, if you watch the news, right, we want to say, oh, who just got shot? Who just got on a high-speed chase? Who won the last Nobel Peace Prize? Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Like, who saved somebody from a burn? Like, we don't know them things, but we know every time a tragedy happened. That's the thing that our brain is brainwashed to think, and that's when it comes to people. A lot of people have negative thoughts. A lot of people say, oh, I can't do this. I can't lose weight. I can't be successful. I can't graduate. I can't be the first one in my family. Why? Because we have been, again, brainwashed to always think the negative. Like, the mind has 80,000 thoughts a day, the subconscious, and would you believe 90% of them are negative? 90%. And so have you ever said to yourself, and I remember I used to be overweight, right? I used to be 300 pounds, and I used to tell myself, I can't lose weight. There's no way I could lose weight. And so every time I try, I'll end up quitting. But once I got to the point, especially when the doctor said you won't live a long, healthy life, I was like, shoot, that's all I needed, right?
Yeah.
And so once I got to that point, boom, 140 pounds later.
140 pounds?
Yeah.
So to me personally and everything, I love the motivational speaking and all that, but I just want to hit on life before motivational speaking.
Definitely.
How was that journey? How was that journey during that time period? Because like I said, I don't know if you did just wake up ever since you were young and say, you know what, I'm gonna grow up to be a motivational speaker. Was that the case, or did something happen along the way to get you to this point of now speaking your word to everybody and truly shining that light real quick?
Definitely. So I'm gonna tell you two parts. I'm gonna tell you the part of, you know, just me, like what got me to this point, and where I was like, you know what, I could do this, right? And so what got me to this point is how I said, you know, just growing up in a drug environment, you know, being shot, you know, just going, like, being bullied because of being overweight, being told I can never be successful, just being all them things, right? And so I always tell people, right? People admire my success. Like, Kevon, you're traveling the world. You know, you have a wife. You're young. You guys are expecting a baby. You live in this beautiful home, drive this nice car, and all these things like that. And I say, yeah, but admire my pain. Admire the trauma I went through. Admire the depression that I've been through. Admire those things, right? Because that's what produced what you see now. If I never been through that, you wouldn't see this Kevon Lee now. Like, Kevon had to go through that so he can inspire others. And so I always tell people, like, admire that. Don't admire what I'm doing now, right? Because everybody goes through pain. I don't care who you are. Everybody goes through pain. Like, you could have a 2-parent home. You could be having the best life in the world, but you may be lonely. And nobody knows, right? And so where I got to the point where I wanted to be a motivational speaker, I was 21 years old. I was going into my 3rd year in college, and my friend Gavin, actually, he sent me a video of this motivational speaker. And mind you, I didn't know what motivational speaking was. I didn't know it was a career. I didn't know nothing about it, right? He sent it to me, and I was just like, whoa, this is pretty cool. And so, you know, when you're on YouTube, after one video, it skips to another, and then it skipped to another one, and this was Eric Thomas Beast Mode. I was like, bruh. I was like, whoa, you telling me? I was like, whoo. And anyway, so I was like, time out. I've been through that, but I got shot. I don't think they got shot. I mean, I feel like I could do this, right? And so I started saying I want to be a motivational speaker. And I went around saying that, and I was like, man, you know what? I got to start speaking it. I am a motivational speaker. And so literally that was July of 2019 when I said I am a motivational speaker. And then it wasn't until October of 2020 when I was on a Zoom call, because, you know, we were during COVID. I was on a Zoom call, and when I was talking to this woman, well, these kids, and this woman was on there, and I said, yeah, I'm a motivational speaker. Mind you, I'll be like, hey, what's your name? My name Kevon Lee. I'm a motivational speaker. That's how I introduced myself, right? And so she heard me say that, and she said, hey, we have an event January 28th, 2021, so a year and a half after I start saying that, and she said, do you want to come speak at our event for 15 minutes? And I said, heck yeah. Mind you, at this point, I never spoke on stage. It's COVID. We behind the screen. Mind you, I don't even know what the heck I'm going to talk about, right? But I knew I had a story, and I knew that I could motivate people. Because people always told me I was motivational. So I went there. I did that. Mind you, didn't know what I was going to talk about till the morning of, but I knew I had a story, right? And so I did that. And then after that, it was hard to get gigs at a certain point because, you know, people didn't know me. People didn't know what I could bring to the table. People didn't know if I could be inspirational. People didn't know. And so when I started to realize, like, okay, Kevon, you're very inspiring, but you have to connect the two. And what I mean by that is, like, you have to empower them. Like, bring them into the story. Like, understand that their life, like, whatever they're going through, they could get through it, right? And that's why I always tell people, like, motivation is cool, but you have to empower people to get to the point where they need to be in life.
Man,
come on, man! I could talk all day.
I love that. I love. Hey, I totally forgot I was on the podcast. I was just straight listening. You was done. I was just like, come on, brother, keep it going. Yeah, I love that word, empower. I saw that on one of your latest videos, and like I said, we're gonna repost this on our Instagram page and everything else, so people can follow you, so they can see the word that you've been producing, because it's great, man. Like I said,
I appreciate that.
I have older sisters, man, and then my older sister saw one of your ones when in regards to, you know, being a parent, you were empowering, saying, you know, this and that. Man, hey, well, one of my older sisters was loving that.
I love speaking to parents. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, of course, I like speaking to youth. But, man, when I speak to parents, they could change their kids' lives. You get me? They could hold their kids accountable, not the other way around. Because, I mean, in our society, parents might not want to listen to the kid, right? But if you can win the parents' heart, oh, my goodness. And I love talking to educators, too, because then they could change their whole classroom. Matter of fact, they could change their whole school. And if I'm talking to superintendents, they could change their whole district, their whole county. And so that's why I said what I do, it's amazing, because even when I go to conferences, sometimes I go to conferences where I'm the main keynote, and it's people all over the United States. Like, 2,000-3,000 people in the crowd, and I get to speak to them. So they go back and they be like, man, like this speaker was amazing. I'm about to implement what he said. And like I said, this is a great career where you can make a global impact.
You think that maybe it's because like you're giving back to what you wanted when you were a kid?
Honestly,
like maybe that type of parent for their mind to flip a switch. You're like, damn, like if I would have had that, like at a young age, like even though you said like admire your troubles because it's the way you are now to be able to do that, but you're giving back to essentially what you didn't get.
Exactly. And like the Bible say, man, it's better to give than receive, right? And so you gotta have a giving heart. Like anybody could just get up there and speak, right? But people know if you're being real. People know if you actually care, right? And so I actually care about the people because I know what I went through, right? And every single time I speak, man, I have people come to me after, like on especially on Instagram a lot, and they say, "Hey, Kevon, do you remember coming speaking at my school? Remember I came up to you?" And mind you, sometimes I don't remember, right? Because I speak to so many kids, but I do remember the schools or the conferences and stuff. And I'll be like, "Oh yeah, I remember that conference." Anyway, and so I remember this one kid did that, and she was like, "Yeah, I was about to commit suicide." Like I'm going through depression, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't want to commit suicide no more, but I am still depressed. But I know that I could get through it because you said you got through it, right? And so it's just that little inspiration of that gives them hope. Like give them hope that it's gonna be a better future, right? And so I realized that like when I started speaking, like Kevon, you could really change lives out here, right? It's not just about a check. Like, of course, you want to get paid, but it's all about impact and purpose and what you could do. And then once you living in that, of course, the money will come.
I like how you said like that impact of just hearing like what you had to say, like that relatability. Because I think keyword like you said, empowerment.
Yeah.
I think when people speak and they have a status or they have a testimony, like I said, your testimony is your whole life that you went the journey that you got there. I think it makes, like you said, that relatability. Because at the end of the day, we're all playing this game of life, trying to figure out what direction we want to go to. And when you can find somebody that gives answers to the problems that you're looking for,
exactly,
it makes it that much more connectable. It makes it. I mean, you were talking about this in personal training. When you provide a service, like a lot of these people are coming to you because they have a problem that they're trying to solve, and it's like if you were able to provide that solution to them, then it doesn't matter the money. Now it's just like, hey, like you're helping me, you're getting me through this. Like we're gonna keep on working together.
Exactly.
And that's why I like how you said, because of empowerment is giving the people the ability to help themselves. And that's the service right there.
Exactly.
That's the true service. Is you're not doing it for them. You're empowering them to do it for themselves.
Exactly. And that's what I always tell people, like motivation will get you to that door, right? But if I empower you, what I say, you could take that outside that door. Meaning that you could change your life. You could change your children's life. You could change your family life. You could change the lives that you speak to, right? The people that you speak to. And that's where it's important, right? So you giving them a tool so they could just go into the world and use that tool.
And it's funny because we were just talking about, we just had our buddy from high school. He was a couple years older than us. And I didn't think about it until he said it. Our principal, Mr. Kavanaugh, he instilled like the whole class character, leadership, attitude, service and scholarship. And like you were just in high school, like you don't think about it as a kid, but like looking at the foundations he said of like his simple thing of is like it's your choice to make it a great day or not. Like just those simple things, like you don't think about it. But then you realize that, like, each day we were getting fed that message. So it was always in our mind, like, okay, like, we can go into this, make this a great day or not. Like, we get where the choices are. Like, subconsciously, like, you're picking up on every day. And, like, a big theme that we have here is the people that we brought on from our high school on the podcast. We always talk about, like, the culture and community that we have is, like, kind of, like, we're really close-knit. Like, everyone was really, like, got along. Like, we still talk to each other and everything like that. And it didn't click, and then I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? Like, that faculty, like, that principal really set the foundation for us to be that way. Because we wouldn't have been that way if we had bad leadership or if we had a bad faculty. Like, between the coaches, the teachers, administration, like, I look at that, and, like, how you said, like, just going to a school and a principal or a teacher just hearing what you're saying and being like, you know what? Like, I can set these kids up with the standard. I can set these kids up with the mentality. to be successful in the future. And I just look at our class, like our school, for that couple of year period, and we had so many good quality people that came out of it. And I think the big foundation is because of like what you said, instilling those values into our classes.
That's powerful right there.
Yep, I love that.
That's a good breakdown.
Yeah,
I didn't think about it like that.
I didn't either. Like I said,
No.
literally, Stanley just hit the right word about it, and I thought about it, and I was like, damn, like I'm really thinking about that every day. We heard his announcements, like we heard the way he spoke to us.
The very end.
And it's like you never think about it, but subconsciously, like you were just hearing that every day and every day.
Like
And
I'm
that's
telling
the
you, your
foundation.
subconscious is more powerful than your consciousness. You get me? Because you could think so many things. Like, have you ever been doing something or like reading something or watching something? Next thing you know, you're thinking about a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
And you're like, dang, I didn't even know I was thinking about that. Right? That's why I say your subconscious is strong. And so him telling you those things every single day, although you didn't think about it consciously, your subconscious was rewinding, doing it again. And now that you're older to understand it, you realize like, man, he was actually teaching us some good things.
And just a funny thing you just hit on too is thinking about it now. He used to always give us like little motivational or morning affirmations. For the longest time, like I want to say probably from like 21 to like 26 years old, that was my thing in the morning was like, hey, to start out your day with some morning affirmation, like something that's positive that's gonna like push you through that day. And it's like when I don't do that, my mind and my spirit feels off. So it's like that right there is another thing is like because he did that every day, that's how we started our day, like how we started our morning. It's like that's just part of my process.
Yeah. Exactly.
Part of my process of getting ready for the day.
I love it. Like it's a habit, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And if I don't do it, I feel off. So like if I don't see it, then I'm just like, okay, like no, I need to start doing that again. Like I need to get this back into my routine. So it's funny because like I just hit that right now. That literally just clicked right now.
I love that. And then for me personally, what I love about when you go and speak for people, I feel like especially the youth, especially kids in high school or anything else like that, when you come in, that's a word that is not planned. So they have teachers. They know they're going to go to class every day. They know the schedule. I'm going to go boom, boom, and boom. But when they come to hear you speak, that's an unplanned message. So that's just like one of those things that pulls up in your life, and then you weren't expecting it throughout your day. And when they're listening to you, they may not know it, but that godly message is coming. It's gonna smack them in the face. And when it's unplanned, is what sometimes even for me, certain lessons that are unplanned hits me the most.
Exactly.
It's just like any other impact in life, whether it's good or bad. When something is unplanned, when you don't see a message coming or an event coming, it's gonna impact you that much harder. So that's why I love your word when you're speaking to these kids and everything, and they're sitting there and they're just like, what is a motivational speaker? To your point, they're looking at it from their standpoint like, well, what is he going to say to me? Oh, he's just going to tell me I need to go do good, or maybe to stay in school, or I need to do this. But when you're telling them a message of, no, you need to not only be better, but you can do this. You can persevere through whatever you're going through. So that lonely child that was never told these things, or the one with the single parent that's on drugs that never felt that love, or had a man, like I said, you're a man of color. You're a man that comes from a background in which these young men and women that can speak on. So when your word speaks, when your testimony reaches their ears, out of 100 kids, maybe even if it's 20, maybe even if it's 10, that 10 will talk to their family. And now you talked about lineage. You are a generational either changer, or you're gonna start the new trend. So that is what I love the impact about.
Exactly. And I love what you said earlier. You said that the things that really change your life are the things that are unplanned, right? Because the things that we plan, we already know is going to happen, right? And so you could plan for things, right? But what breaks you is what you don't plan for. Like, you don't plan for somebody dying. You don't plan to get into a car accident. You don't plan to get injured. Like, nobody says, I'm going to wake up today, boom, I'm going to go crash my car. 99.9% of us don't do that, right? And so, but when something like that happens, it's like, how do you bounce back? When somebody in your family like when my grandmother passed away, people was telling me, mind you, I'm in my second to last semester in college. They're telling me like, Kevon, maybe you should take this semester off. Maybe, you should just be with your family and things like that. Man, I said, bunk that. That was the best semester I ever had in college because it motivated me. And before my grandmother even passed away, I wasn't an author. I wasn't a speaker. I wasn't engaged. I wasn't married. You know, I didn't have none of those things, right? I wasn't a speaker. Like I said, I wasn't even a speaker, so she never even heard me speak. But what gave me that, that security was before she passed away. She said, "Honey, I love you, and I'm so proud of you." Like that's what gave me all the all the motivation and empowerment just to keep going. And I remember, I'm gonna share this with you guys. When she passed away, right? Mind you, I'm at. So we have like family homes out there in Mississippi. So I'm at one of the family homes, and I'm getting all these text messages, all these calls at 2:30 in the morning. They say, "Kevon, you need to get over here. We think grandma's gonna like pass away. You need to get over here." And I said, "Okay." So they come pick me up. We go back over there. Mind you, now it's about 3 o'clock in the morning. I run inside. I bust a right, bust a left. I bust another right. My grandmother had already passed away. And so, mind you, this is the point. This is the person who adopted me at 9 years old. I've been living with her from 7 to 19. So she raised me, right? All my values, like what you see right now, what you see produced right now, is because of her, right? And so, and you never think that your grandmother's gonna pass away. You just think they invincible. I don't know what it is. You just think they gonna live to 100 years old, right? And so I remember I was praying. I was like, God, just please give me a sign that everything that she did won't go in vain. And I kid you guys not, she passed away November 10th, 2020, which is only a few days later, about 2 weeks after this. But and then I went into my voicemails and I found a voicemail from September of 2019. And she said, "Hey, honey," mind you, the voicemail it was perfectly planned for that exact day. She said, "Honey, I'm sorry that I couldn't get in contact with you. I couldn't make it there. But I hope you get this message," right? She said, "I hope you get this message," like that sense of hope, right? Mind you, I didn't even look at the message. I was just like, I want to go hear her voice again because I'm notorious for not answering my phone. I was just like, I want to hear her voice again. And so that was a year prior to when she passed away. But she said, "Honey, I love you." She said it not once, not twice, but 4 times. And she said, "I'm so proud of you." And that gave me all the confidence in the world to keep going.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Just full circle.
Exactly. And you got to understand, man. My grandmother, when she adopted me, she had just retired. Like she did it all, right? She worked for 40 years, just retired, 60 years old, 60-something years old. But now she has to come down to California to adopt me, to live homeless, to live in one-bedroom apartments, like whatever the thing was, right? So she gave all that up for me. And so I know because she did all that, I don't want that to go in vain. And so I truly believe that sometimes God, no, I don't think sometimes, all the time, like God puts people in your life. Mind you, my grandmother, she was never blessed with the most materialistic, with the best health and anything like that, but she did the necessary things to make sure that she was shining on me so I could be the light to the world.
Well, first and foremost, God bless that lady, because like I said,
God bless her.
I always tell people, man, if she didn't make it to heaven, ain't none of us safe. Ain't none of us safe.
Amen to that, because like I said, when especially as a woman, to me, and this is society, when you're a foundational person for a young man that is taking on another job. So you said she retired. Well, God retired her from that 9 to 5, but he gave her a new job that would be more precious, more valuable than anything she would have ever experienced. Of course, she had she had your parent, and everything else like that. But I feel like that last portion of her life, which was helping raising you, helping create the man you are today, that's going to be seen by, I'm not saying thousands, I'm not saying hundreds of thousands, but I'm saying that millions of people are going to see the product that you are as a man that was set by her through the darkest of times. And like I said, that those cornerstone people right there, that's heaven sent.
Exactly.
There's no other way around it. And like I said, our heaven sent people are the ones that raise, of course, because I could speak on it, because my grandmother and my grandfather are very instrumental in my life. They helped raise me when my mother was working and everything else, and she had to drop us off. Even to this day, they're very integral in our lives. So I definitely feel that. And then when my grandfather passed, it was one of those things to where he always molded me for this position, because it's, especially being the man of the family and everything else like that is no easy thing. I have a lot of women in my family, I'm the only male one. So he had to mold me from a young age. He used to always tell me, hey, you have to be stronger when you go out there in front of all those women. You need to keep your head up high. He used to always say, keep your head up high and lead. Head up high and lead. And he instilled that into me to where when I knew, and this was part of the plan stuff. So his passing, you could see the deterioration and everything. So you had that sense of, okay, this is coming or whatever. So I had to fortify my heart for it. When he passed, and then it was my time to lead. There was no sense of, to me, like cloudness or anything. I was prepared for it. He molded me for this, and when you have that mold of somebody that's helped and blessed you with that helps catapult you to a career or to a status that you can. When he passed, to your point exactly, I worked. I went ahead. Especially when those people, what they instilled in you, which is to go get it, which is to get after it, which is that survival mentality of, just because I may go, where I'm at. You're a follower of God, we're covered by the blood of Jesus and everything. So it's like, where I'm at. So you need to do your job and do your part in order to lead the family. Exactly. And like I said, now you didn't have everything that you had now, but you're a leader now, and you are that beacon of hope for your family and for, like I said, millions of others that will come and hear your word for many years from now.
Man, I love it, man. And I think that's the beautiful part, right? How you said, like, he prepared you. Like, my grandmother, she prepared me. And so when she passed away, of course I cried. Of course I was like, man, like, I'm never going to, if I live to 75, that's 50 something years without my grandmother, right? But she, like how you said, that's a perfect solution or scenario or ending to it. She prepared you. She prepared me for this situation. She prepared me for everything I'm going through right now. Yep.
I love that, man. I love that. See, so we got inspiration and grandmother there. Was there anyone else that really, motivated you, got you through those times, getting through being a motivational speaker and everything else? Because you had grandma. Was there anybody else, like I said, throughout college, anybody else that you could say, look, this is a part of my team, it's a tribe? Because that's why I tell people, is throughout my journey, I've had my best friends be some of the most instrumental rocks in my life the past about 5 years, man.
Yeah. I would definitely say, man, there's been a lot of people in my life to believe in me, but there's also been a lot of people that say, Kevon, you can't do it, right? I did have this one woman that I used to work with. Her name is Brenda Dowdy. She's I'm telling you, she's like the Mount Rushmore of San Bernardino County in education, right? So people look up to her, people listen to what she had to say, but she's seen something in me. And I remember at one time when I just started speaking, right? So I wasn't as popular as I am now, but when I started speaking, she's like, "Hey, Kevon, I have this position for you. It's a made-up position. You're gonna be the first one in the state. I want you to pilot it." And I'm like, "You sure?" And she said, "Yes, I'm sure." So she seen something in me that I didn't even see in myself, right? And then that, like, just that belief in me and everything she instilled in me while I was at that job. So when I left that job, like, I already knew how things were. I knew how contracts worked. I knew how now I get to sit into meetings with superintendents, with principals, and so many things because I made those connections. So that was definitely one right there. And I'll definitely say my wife. Man, I'm talking about before I do a speech, like before I do my best speech, right? Sometimes I practice in front of her five times. Imagine each speech is like 30 minutes to an hour. And so I'm practicing, and then she just sitting there, she's taking notes, and she said, "Okay, I don't think you should say this, or I think you should change it like this." And so I always tell people, like, she's my coach, like legit, right? Because she's so sophisticated, she's brilliant. Like, the things that she say, I'm telling you, she's really brilliant, right? And so she helps me convey that message in a way that people will receive it, right? Mind you, I do a lot of the background when I say like this, like, "Oh, I want to talk about this, I want to talk about that." And she said, "Oh, how about you say it like this?" I'm like, "You know what? That sounds really good," right? But her just being in my how do I put this? Her just having my back, so when I go on stage, it means everything to me. And like you said, man, like the Bible say, though, he who finds a wife finds a good thing, right? And favor from God. And so, man, I found a beautiful wife, and God been favoring me.
Man, I love that. I love that.
Yeah, I love that too, man, because I feel like, especially, I have a random question.
utensil for the music.
And then what's it called? I have a quick question.
Talk to me.
Because I find this.
James is not good.
All right. Well, what's it called? So I find this for myself. You're a motivational speaker and everything else like that. Even for a motivational speaker, are there times where you don't feel like motivating? You know, like is there ever a time to where you just go in and you yourself need a motivation? Has there been times for that?
Oh, definitely,
You get
man.
what I'm trying to ask
At the end of the day, I'm still human. Like at the end of the day, like I still bleed. You know, there's times I still cry. I'm still human. Like I'm not just because I do motivational speaking don't mean I'm always motivated. There's some times when you just like, bruh. But I'm gonna say this: there's never a time when I don't want to go after it though. Like there's times when I'm like, man, I know this is gonna be hard, or I know this is gonna be really challenging, but I know I still have to go do it, right? And especially like my wife. Like you can ask her and she'll straight up tell you he has never quit at anything he ever tried. He has never quit. He always seen it through. Like I'm not quitting at anything that I step forward. I'm not quitting. Like if I get to the end and it doesn't work out, then it doesn't work out. But I'm not quitting because when you start to quit, you start to build that habit. Like, oh, when things get tough, when things get hard, I could just back away, right? But when things that's what builds that stamina. You get me? When things get hard and tough, you push through it. And exactly, right? And that's why I love cycling, because there's some times, man, where it's hard. Like I remember we was talking and I did a race last weekend, right? And it's one of the hardest races in Santa Barbara. And when my how do I put this? My course was the hardest climb, right? And mind you, it's a 6-mile climb, but it's like 2,600 feet of climbing, which is I've never done that, right? But I got to a point in the race where my body's aching. I'm like, bro, my kidney. I'm like, why does my kidney hurt? It got to a point where it got too hot up there. I'm just like, man. And I seen people turning around before they got to the top. So I seen people turn around. I'm like,
really?
I'm like, yeah, if I turn around, nobody would know. Like nobody would know, right? I mean, but I'm like, Kevon, you can't go up here because your wife is gonna say, did you get to the top? You can't lie to her, right?
Yeah.
And so I did not want to get to that point where I had to tell her like, oh, yeah, I didn't make it to the top. So I said, I don't care if it hurts. I don't care if it burns. Man, I got to the top of that. I got to the top of the mountain. I told the people up there, I was like, I'm so happy to see you guys. I've never been happy to see people like this in my life, man. Because just getting there, right? And a lot of people didn't want to do that course because they knew how hard it was. They knew that if they did it, they wasn't gonna get through it, right? And so I knew that, all right, Kevon, once you start, like I said, I don't care how painful, how hard it is. Once I start it, I have to see it through, and that's even training, man. Like if I say I'm gonna do this amount of miles, and I have the time to do it, I'm doing it. Like today, I felt very fatigued, right? But I was like, all right, Kevon, you still got to get this bike right, and you still got to get this amount of feet of climbing, and I still got it in.
And then how long was that, if you don't mind me asking?
What
how many miles you do
today?
Yeah.
I only did 27, so quick ride.
Quick ride.
Yeah, quick ride.
Only 27?
Yeah, I mean, that's like a warm up still.
Oh, yeah, man,
Nah.
you a better man than me. 27, I'll be dead by 7.
No, I'm gonna be honest, man. When I first started cycling during COVID, 27 miles were like no. Like anything over 10 was a push. I'm talking about I feel sore, but now it's to the point where, you know, like I said, you build that stamina to the point where 25 miles is literally I start to feel warmed up. All right, let's go for 50. Let's go for 75. I like pushing myself. Let's go for 100. That's just how it is. That's what anything in life. Like motivational speaking, you see my videos, right? So you say they're very empowering. Like I sound really good. That's not how it was at first. Like I didn't know how to tell a story at first. I was just up there like, and I told you guys how I got shot, right? But when I say the story, I bring people into it, right? I used to be like, yeah, I was 5 years old, I got shot. People would be like, oh my God, he got shot, right? But now I bring them into it to the point where like, I heard a loud scream, I heard the door slam, and then I say, oh, this guy, he walks in front of me, and I put my hand down on my mom, and she raised her hand at me. Literally, what happened though, and I say, I closed my eyes, and I felt 2 blows to the body. Just like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so once you're speaking, you only get better and better and better. And that's what anything like practice makes. It doesn't make perfect, but it makes you better.
The attention to detail, the reps.
Exactly.
It's the reps every day. You get better and better with the reps.
Exactly. And so that's what the same thing with cycling, right? At first, I wasn't this fast. I wasn't this good. I wouldn't do that much amount of climbing no matter what. I don't care what it was. But now I've got to the point where I could do it.
So when when did the cycling start? Because we'll just hop on that real quick.
Yeah.
Since we're on it real quick, when did it start? I'm asking you a 2-part question.
Mhm.
So if you forget, no worries. I'll ask it again. But the first part is, when did you get into cycling, and then the second part is, what is it about cycling that keeps you going and keeps you pushing yourself to 25, 50, 75?
Yeah, man. So I got into cycling in 2020. My goddad, he bought me a fixie, right? So he bought me a fixie, and he didn't even think I was gonna ride it. He just bought it for me, and I started riding it. And so I upgraded to a road bike, right? And so I upgraded to a road bike, and I was like, man, I really like this. And then I upgraded to an all carbon fiber road bike. I still got that bike, and I got my new one that I just got like 4 months ago. But what got me into it, because, you know, during COVID, gyms were closed. There's nothing to do. I'm like, man, I can't just stay inside, right? And so once he got me that bike, I just started riding. I'm like, man, I really enjoyed it. You get to see the nature. You get to go to different places. And this is before I even did my first race, right? And so when I did my first race, and I always tell people, I train hard, right? I train really hard. But no matter how hard I train, I can never duplicate what I do in a race. I don't know. It's like that urgency. It's like that adrenaline just to do your best, right? And so I remember when I did a race in Santa Barbara, it was crazy because after the race, my goddad did it with me too. But after the race, we drove around to see, like, oh, we went to this part of the race. I did not remember.
Oh, damn.
Like, legit, I did not. I was like, this was in the, like, no way this was in the race, because I was so focused and I was so in tune, and I was like in a flow of, okay, Kevon, boom, you see somebody in front of you, catch up with that person. Somebody passes you, keep on their heel, right? And so what keeps me into cycling is I tell people, and they think I'm crazy, but I love feeling that type of pain. I love feeling that type of burn. I love feeling that type of pain and burn, to where, okay, Kevon, you want to quit, and you think my mind don't say, oh, you know, you could just turn around now. You know, you don't have to finish it. You know, you don't have to do what you say. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that's when I just love pushing through it. Like, nothing like fills me more, other than speaking, than and my wife. Just
Gotta know that one in there.
And God. But just that, like, that burn, once I get to that burning sensation, pushing through it. And so that's what keeps me cycling. And I'm to a point where it's a part of me. Like, that's a part of my life. It's a lifestyle at this point.
I've heard about like a runner's high.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a certain point, like once you push past that limit, that like there's nothing like it. It sounds pretty similar. Like it's like a cycling high, where like you just get to that certain point to where like it's like a dopamine release.
Exactly.
Or it's something that just makes you feel just.
You get into a flow
I want to
state.
say alive.
It's the flow state. Flow state.
Mm-hmm.
I had that because I used to run a lot too. I used to run. I used to do duathlon, so I used to run, cycle. I'm not that good at swimming, but what's crazy is, even through running, I remember one time I had a PR in a mile, right? And I'm like, bruh, I had a PR, but I was in a point where I was just flowing. Like, I was just going. And it's the same thing with cycling. Like, I didn't remember that certain point, because I remember that point was a straightaway too. It was a straightaway. It was flat. So I would just booking it. You get me? And so I don't remember that, because, like how you say, you reach that point of that flow state.
That's what I feel like I'll achieve in the desert.
In the desert?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you.
This boy.
Because I like that. I like pain too, bro. Like when I used to hike for Cal Fire, I was stationed up in Bishop, and like every time, like if you make it up to the top, you got to come back down and get the last man. So I was doing 1.5 hikes all the time, but I would just gun it, and I would just keep going. Like the moment you stop, you let it settle in.
Oh, you feel
that
more.
shit fucking sucks,
bro.
Sucks.
Like
so
when I got to
like,
the top, oh, it sucked.
Yeah, like it's almost like you kind of like you get on the ground and like nothing you could do like will get rid of that burn, and it's like, oh, like sometimes I've sat up there, I'm like, I don't know if I can make it back down, like, you know, like, but it's I broke records getting into that flow state too on times on the hikes, and you know it's like and then it's like, do you bitch out and pack light, or do you kind of like do you pack a little heavy and take some tools, you know, you kind of push yourself, and it's like you test yourself, and it gets like addicting. It's like, damn, like if I got that this last time, like I'm gonna go for it this time, like, you know, different time, and then like I said, you got to come back down and then get the last man up. So it's like just that state of mind where it's like I'm not gonna fucking bitch out, because I know I can keep down here with my guys, you know, but they're like, at the end of the day, like their lives depend on me. You know, I'm doing it for something bigger than me.
Exactly.
It's that's where I also put it in my mind. I was like, I'm doing this for something more than me. Like, they rely on me. Like, it's accountability, it's ownership, it's all those things where it's like, this is where I'm getting like mentally fortified, and it transfers into different things in life. Like, oh, that's not really that big of a deal. Like come on, now you're complaining over that.
Yeah.
Like it kind of it makes you just more satiated.
Mm-hmm. And I love what you said. You kind of feel that addicting feeling, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the same thing with cycling, man. Like I'm addicted to feeling that pain because I like I said, I don't know what it is, but I just love feeling it, right? And that's why I never try drugs. That's why I never drink. I'll never smoke because I already know.
Because it's what you feel. It's that feel.
Exactly. Now that's why, because I already know I have an addictive personality, and so when it comes to cycling, like I have to cycle.
Yeah.
Right. I don't want to start drinking. I have to drink.
Yeah.
I have to. That's why I never try it.
And good for you, man.
I like that. No, that's self-awareness at this finest right there. That's real self-awareness. That's fine.
You got to, man, in order to be your best self, because at the end of the day, and like how you said, you living for, like, you got to save somebody else's life. You can't be selfish with it. You get me? Like, I already know if I start drinking and I start smoking, I can't be the best husband. If I start drinking and I start smoking, I can't be the best father to my unborn child. Like, I already know that. If I start doing that, I can't be the best speaker. I already know that, and so I'm not even about to do that.
Yeah.
Don't put yourself in a position.
That's ultimate discipline.
Exactly.
It goes back to that contract.
Exactly, man.
That contract.
Is that you? So this is where my discipline came from. My discipline came from losing weight. For going from 300 to 159. I'm not 159 right now, but losing all that weight.
You're still looking good, bro.
You know. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. But that discipline of like, okay, Kevon. Once I started seeing the weight fall off, I got addicted to it. Like I needed the weight. Like I needed to. Okay, Kevon, I needed to see this amount of pounds fall off, and I lost 140 pounds in 1 year. So I went from a size 3X, a size 50 pants, to a size. Bro, I was wearing extra smalls.
Ooh, like that,
bro. I'm talking about ripped veins everywhere. That summer I never wore a shirt. I lost my mind. I had a lot of loose skin, but I was like, I don't care. You get me? Because I got to the point where I wasn't even comfortable in my own skin. You get me? Because getting bullied and stuff.
You did that shit.
Yeah, bro. And was it hard work? Yes, but it got to a point where it just became second nature. It got to a point where it was a lifestyle.
Became a priority.
Exactly.
That hit right there. That last you said. You got comfortable in your own skin. I feel like that phrase right there, to viewers listening or anything else, people that are struggling with, body dysphoria, all that other stuff. Shoot, at one point,
I didn't want to correct, but I'm always the one to correct people.
Yeah, good.
Well, I'm not
Please
phobia.
correct.
I was like, body dysmorphia is like you're afraid of if you're afraid of bodies.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Dysmorphia.
Dysmorphia. I gotta autocorrect it. Thank you so much, brother. But yes, people that struggle through that, like I said, even I did at one point because I was 300 pounds in high school.
Oh wow.
I was 298. I'll never forget.
You got the 298?
Yeah, I got the 298.
I think I do remember that. You were 280 for a good amount of time too.
No shit.
Yeah, my faux hawk picture, you can see my. Yeah, bro. I was.
Mind you, bro, you a lot taller than me.
He was,
and I was 300 pounds, and I was like,
oh yeah, you.
Damn, I don't remember that.
Bro, I went to Six Flags. I couldn't fit on the rides. I literally went to Six Flags, bro. I could not fit on the rides.
Like that?
They had to tell me get off.
Damn.
Oh man,
bro.
Yeah.
So because you know how like everybody do that senior trip, right? And that's when I decided to lose weight. I was like, oh heck nah. You feel me?
You said I can't get on Tatsu.
That's
bro, Tatsu was the one. Cause Tatsu the one that flips you like
that.
Yeah, bro. That was the one. That was the exact one. I was like, no.
Yeah, that one was dope.
He said, "Yeah, that one was dope."
Yeah, I enjoy it now though.
He came back and slayed that.
Man went on every ride.
He said, "I remember this."
Yeah, X2, all of them.
All of them. I love that. So for me, like I said, comfort in your own skin. That is a humongous thing that I feel like
that's an accomplishment.
Yes,
especially with social media, especially like what everybody's going through, man. It's an accomplishment.
And that's why your job field and what you do, getting people comfortable in their own skin, now, especially in this new generation, I feel like they need that more. It's a necessity because all they see, what a child, what a middle schooler, what a high schooler, when they open up their social media, they see everything that gets them out of their own skin mentally, gets them out of their own situations, gets them out of their own realities in life, and them seeing, you know what, I can look like this.
Exactly.
The young woman that isn't getting that much attention from certain men or whatever that like big butts, they're like, you know what, I think I need to go get this to fulfill, you know, my love. The young man that isn't getting any attention or anything else like that, he's looking at himself, maybe this is the best way I should look. I should go do this. Maybe I need to get bigger or whatever. I need to do certain things. You know, it's like those insecurities you help validate, but until you've been through something to where you had to persevere, had to accomplish that feat of really persevering through that, that's a great thing. Now, like I said, my weight loss was about 60, 70. You was at you went above that times 10, brother. So that's why I commend you for that. That's real determination, especially in the year.
Oh yeah, man. Like, and then it was so sweet when I got under 200 pounds. Well, when I seen the scale say 199, I lost my mind. Yeah. Man, it just, because, you know, you put in the work and you like, because at one point in your life, like I said, you think you can never do it. You think it's impossible. You literally, I'm praying to God every single night, like, God, like, I'm doing these waist trainers, I'm taking these pills, I'm trying to eat better, exercise, but like, God, like, I just can't lose the weight. So you're praying every single night, and he's not answering your prayers. But like you said, faith without works is dead. Like, Kevon, like, I could give you the faith, but if you don't go out there and execute, then it will never happen. And so once I started executing, man, I'll never get back to 300. I'll touch 200 maybe, but I won't get back to 300. Like, no matter, I don't care how hard life gets, I ain't getting back to 300.
That 200 would be more athletic and shit too, though. Like, you'd be more muscular.
Exactly.
He said, yeah,
body composition.
Yeah. Exactly. Man, exactly.
And I love that, what you said about execution. And I just feel like this is a good time for like everything we've talked about. It goes into that empowerment of when people, like when people, like you say, like people are looking for answers. Sometimes they look within themselves. Sometimes they look outwards. Sometimes they look at, like you said, certain things, whether it's the surgery, steroids, whatever. Like they look for things. And I think as a motivational speaker, as trainers, as like a massage therapist, our biggest job is obviously we have to have the knowledge. But how can you use the knowledge you have to empower that person to get that result they want? And it goes back to execution of like, how can you get that person to execute, or how can you get that message to somebody to make them be like you say, I can do this, or this is possible. And I just love it because it goes in just to like, everyone has great intentions.
Exactly.
I can sit here and tell you a 300-pound kid, yeah, we'll lose you 100 pounds. But if we're both not on the same page of execution, we don't have that common reliability, it's gonna be really, really tough.
Man, and that and what you're talking about is that connection to humans, like that connection, being on one accord, right? Saying how you said, you know, you guys are trainers, right? And like I'm like getting them to the point where they could believe and trust in you. And it's the same thing with speaking, man. You cannot. I've seen a lot of speakers in my day, right? I go to conferences, I see a lot of speakers, and I'm just like, nah, this ain't it. Right, and I'm not trying to judge. I'm not saying I'm better than them, but it's just something like they're not trying to connect. You can just tell they're there for the check, right?
It's not authentic.
It's not authentic, right? Like, man,
you can
I like
sniff that out.
Yeah,
like, you can sniff out authenticity. Like.
Exactly. And like, bro, when I speak, it's crazy because I practice. All right, I'm gonna go on stage. I'm gonna say this, and that. Boom, right? It never ends up like that. And always like, I don't know what it is, but it's just like the Holy Spirit comes to me and I just say something. I'm like, and I think back on, I'm like, dang, I said that, right? But it's what somebody needed to hear. I remember one time, I was speaking at this event, and this grown woman, she comes up to me. She said the craziest thing to me at the time. She said, "You're my son." I said, hold on, I know who my mom is. What do you mean I'm your son, right? And she said, because at the time I was 24, I'm 25 now. She said, because you're 24 and my son was 24. 6 months ago, he committed suicide. And I'm so happy you didn't commit suicide. Like, I needed to hear your story today. And so just that type of, you know, interaction with people, like, I won her heart that day. I seen her another time. She was like, oh my gosh, do you remember me? I'm like, of course I remember you. You get what I'm saying? And so when you win the connection of somebody's heart, they'll do whatever you want to say. I just hope you telling them to do good things, right? But they trust you. And once you could win that trust, that loyalty, they'll trust you forever.
I think it's a responsibility of a leader.
Exactly.
That's very much what you're doing, and you're being a leader. And the falls that responsibility of a leader is once you have that connection with that person, Are you being responsible? Are you doing and saying what you're really about? And I look at that, and like you said, like you can smell when someone's not being authentic or is being disingenuine, and that's like one of the big things that I look for. I think I said this before. So when we do like the podcast, we have an outline,
Mhm.
and I think I told you this a while ago. I was like, if we do the outline and we hit it verbatim by verbatim, we didn't do a good podcast. I was like, my favorite podcasts are the ones to where we have a conversation that goes all over the places.
Man,
to
talk
where,
about
like,
stuff you don't even plan to
exactly
talk about. Yeah.
Exactly. Like if we do a podcast, we just hit the bullet points. It's like I don't think we did it. Then we didn't do a good job. So it's like those are the best
Amen.
ones. Where it's like those conversations, like it's unexpected. Like you said, the Holy Spirit, like, dang, he hit something that I didn't even think about, or like that
Yeah.
that I resonated with. I would not thought about it that way. So it's funny you say that because it really is that way. Like when you know when you're in a like authentic or genuine places when the conversations are stimulating and it didn't go as planned. That's not what the plan was or the agenda was.
Exactly. And that's the beautiful part about it.
Yes, sir. That's one of the great parts. And like I said, being here with you now, I tell people motivational speakers, in essence, you're like pastors.
Mm-hmm.
You're speaking.
It's your ministry.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
You're giving your word and everything. I'm gonna let you know right now, man. When I met you and just sitting here right now, there's something about a presence. When you meet with the pastor and you're speaking with the really good one, that presence of God, that presence is there. You speak, you look, you see how they walk, you see everything else like that. Man, when I saw you, man, I met you sitting right here, right now, with you, man. You have that presence of a leader. You have that presence of somebody that feels like I can go to war with you. Mm-hmm. That everything you say, not only do you mean, but it comes from a place of a better tomorrow. Mm-hmm. So you're speaking of a better tomorrow that people don't know what the heck if they're going to finish out today of.
Man, that's Jesus Christ, man.
Yep.
Because he came on this earth and he did that. You get me? Mm-hmm. Like he laid his life on the line. And I think we have to be like him. Right? We could never be him. let me just get that. Like we could never be him. I sin all the time. Right? He never sinned. We can never be him, but we could be like him. And so I always tell people there's a difference between doing and becoming. Like you want to become it. I want to become what I say, right? Not just do it, but I want to become to where it's me, to where Jesus Christ is in me. And once you get to a place like that, that's where you find peace. And that's the hardest thing ever, right? Because you can't find peace in your wife, you can't find it in your kids, you can't find it in your job, you can't find it in money. You can only find peace in Jesus Christ. That's the only place you can find peace. You go out there looking at somewhere else, right? But you will always feel this emptiness in this hole. But once you find peace in Jesus Christ, your life becomes better.
I like that. It's funny we go into like the you brought up the passion and stuff like that. And you brought up how ET earlier. So I don't want to say it wasn't like I didn't believe I'd have I've always had a relationship with God, but for a good while, just because of like how some churches were and how they acted, like I didn't have a strong faith. And it wasn't until I want to say like 2020, 2021, I started like listening to ET, and his big thing is he's a hip hop preacher.
Yeah.
And so that, in a sense, opened up my heart to like kind of reconnecting that faith with God, where I was praying more. I was just trying to have that relationship connection again. And then going into, I had a client who just really, really showed me a lot of love. So she was really involved in her church. She was always talking about it, but it never came from a place of like judgment or like what's the other word? Or like being like condemning. Yeah. It was always just like a place of love. Like she always just hoped the best for me. Like it was like it felt like she really, really wanted me to be better. She really wanted me to do better, but it never came from a place of like, oh, like you're doing this or you're doing that. Like you're gonna go, or like you don't love Jesus enough. Like it just came from a really, really genuine spot. And the more that I could receive that, the more I felt more and more open. Into where now, like I very much like have a really, really, really good relationship with God, and it doesn't dissipate by like my involvement in going to church. And more involved with what's going on in my heart. And I think what you said best is like I can feel good about my day regardless if I made a lot of money, regardless if I was happy or good things happen or bad things happen. In my heart, if I feel like I had just good relationships, like I felt good about what I was doing that day, it can be as simple as like me going to the gym with him, and when we talk to our friends Smooth, it's just like having those good conversations to where I genuinely know that I'm being authentic with him, or I'm being in a good place, that I can feel good about my day, or I can feel good about myself, and being like, you know what, thank you God for like bringing that into my life. Like we do this all the time, where we'll be having like our days from work or stuff like that, and then we'll just have interactions with people, and it'll just be like, damn, like that really just made my day better. Like thank you God for that, because you know what, like that lifted up my spirits.
Yeah.
And I think when people leave with the heart of, like how you said, wanting to be better, do better, we're never going to be Jesus Christ, but I think that willingness and that ability to want to help your fellow brother, your fellow sisters, and just be a good, authentic person.
Yeah, exactly. Leading with a heart full of love. You get me? Like Jesus Christ, he had that agape love. Yeah. Like that's a love that it's unconditional. That's that true unconditional love, right? And so when you lead with a heart full of love, like that type of love, like you said, you could transform lives. You can transform your own life, but that's also when you find peace, and that's when, how I said, just things are just much better for you.
Yeah, yeah. I feel a lot more decisiveness about what things I do now, because I always used to overthink a lot of stuff, whether or not it was like, oh, am I gonna do this, or like should I be with this person, or should I be around this person? And there was always like that conflicted of like, I don't want to be mean, or like, oh, I don't want to like just be like that. And now, like, it doesn't come from a place of like, oh no, like I'm judging you. It's like I know what's right for me and it was wrong for me. So in a sense, like I'm a lot more able to decipher my decision making, because it's like God, like give me something that's gonna tell me like this is the right move, or like I trust that what I'm doing is the right thing.
That's that discernment, man.
And that's a beautiful thing about it. And it's like it doesn't come from a place of judgment. Like there's certain things I know that are for me and that are not for me. And like you said, that discernment comes in, and just like in my heart, and I'm like honest, I'm not perfect at this. I have my moments still where like I still will get mad or upset about things, but I try to make it to where like if someone wrongs me, or if there's something I don't agree with, or something I don't like, instead of being bitter about it or being upset about it, it's like let's let it be and pray for that person, or pray for whatever they have got going on, that God leads them to a better path. And I feel like I'm at ease. I get my ability to like to deal with things has improved so much. Just trying to have that mindset instead of being angry and upset about it. Just it is what it is. Control what you can control. Let God's direction like help them hopefully and help you.
Exactly. I love it.
I love that. And
I needed this conversation. Honestly, I've been pretty stressed out, pretty low vibrational of my mind, how I've been thinking. And I love seeing examples, so I could pull my head out of my ass.
Yeah,
and I need that.
I think we all do, and that goes back to like what you just said. Like this conversation, whoever listens to it, it's an empowerment.
Exactly.
So whoever needs to hear this, like you said, you need to hear it.
Yeah.
There's other people that probably need to hear the same thing.
Exactly. The people who need to hear it will hear it. You get me? Like in that time of their life when they need to hear something and they trust in Jesus Christ, they'll hear it. They'll hear it for sure.
I've been a fucking negative Nancy lately.
Hey,
that's.
But now you acknowledge it. Now it's time to change.
Yeah, that's I identify it. Now I gotta be, I gotta apply action towards it.
No, that's the one thing I'm very, very blessed with in learning, and like you touched on it, but self-awareness, man. When you can acknowledge your own shit, you can acknowledge that you're not doing something, or you can acknowledge that you're not meeting a certain criteria, you're not honoring that contract with yourself. That's one of the biggest things that I think people have a hurdle with. It's just that self-awareness of to be honest with yourself. Like, are you really doing what you're saying you're doing? Are you doing what you're supposed to be doing? And right there, that's 50% of the battle right there. And then the second part is execution. And what are you going to do now to solve that problem?
Exactly.
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of people don't want to take accountability for any wrong that's in their life that's caused by them.
That's pride.
They want to go to a trauma that happened so far long ago that may not apply now. But they'll go back to that. They'll look for any other reason. But at the end of the day, it just boils down and it comes back to you. My thing is, for you, real quick, you are a man of faith. You wear it, you speak it, you wash it. Has that faith always been there? How did your faith in God, when did that truly start, and when did it strengthen to where it is now, that immovable faith?
So, my grandmother, I touched on her earlier. She was the ultimate woman of faith. I'm talking about she wakes up at 4 o'clock in the morning. She's reading her Bible till 11 a.m. at least, right? Praying. She up in there crying. I'm thinking like, what are you crying about, right? And when you're a kid, for a lot of kids that I see, you don't have a real urgency to go to church, right? It's like, oh, you wake up this morning, you got to go to church. So I'm just there. I'm not listening. I couldn't quote a scripture. I didn't read the Bible, like none of that, right? And it wasn't until, like, I remember one of her last words to me was like, "I'm so proud of you, but keep close to Jesus. Like, don't lose sight of him," because a lot of people in my family have lost sight of him. And so I'm like one of the only few who is a follower of Jesus Christ, right? And you watch my videos, I be at school. I'm not scared to talk about him. Like, if you ain't gonna bring me back because I'm talking about his goodness, then that's cool with me, right? And some people like, yes, Kevon, just come up here and do your like. Do you want me to say no, Kevon? Just do your thing. Like, whatever you say, we know we need it, right? But it wasn't until I got really strong into my faith, and it was because of my wife. Like, me and my wife, she was like, hey, come to my church. I'm like, okay. So mind you, we were just, what was we fiancés at this time? I can't remember. But she was like, hey, come to my church.
Y'all were close.
Yeah. Well, we've been together 7 years. But she was like, come to my church. I was like, okay. So I went to her church, and I'm like, oh, wow. It's like every single time I was listening to the pastor, I'm like, bruh, he's talking to me, like, every single time. And mind you, at this point, I was speaking at this point. I'm like, man, like, he's really talking to me, right? And so I remember we got baptized together. But then the reason I got baptized is because I was like, oh, I'm gonna just get baptized because she getting baptized. I'm gonna do it for her, right? And then I got rebaptized. And I was like, you know what? And I was at this conference, and I just felt like they started doing baptisms, right? I'm like, oh, I didn't know they was going to do this, right? And I'm like, man, I just got baptized last year. I don't need to get baptized. Like, I ain't did nothing that bad, right? And then I swear the dude kept saying, there's somebody else in this crowd that needs to come out. Like, there's somebody else that needs to get back. There's somebody else that needs to give their life to Jesus Christ. There's somebody else out there. He kept saying it. I kid you not. He kept saying that. And I just felt this presence and this push, like, Kevon, get up there. So as soon as I got up there, that's when he stopped saying it. And that's when he did a prayer, and we went to go get baptized. But definitely, man, I would say my faith has been really strong, especially these last 2 years. But this year, I've been on fire. Reading my Bible. I do sermons at church. I give back. I volunteer and I do things like that because I just want to show his goodness, right? He's been so good to me. Like, mind you, I'm not supposed to be here, man. I was supposed to be born with Down syndrome. I got shot, got molested, raped, whatever you want to call it. Like, I've been through so many things, right? But yet I'm still here to talk about his goodness. And I feel that that's the beautiful thing of life, right? And a lot of people think like, oh, I've been through all this, I've been through all that, so I can never get to that point. But that is what builds you. Like, because it broke you before, it had to break you so it could recreate you. Like, God had to break me so he could recreate me. He could redesign me. And once he redesigned me, I'm not going back to that brokenness no more. I already know what that feels like. Now I want to be on this side and see how that feels. And y'all getting this for free.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I feel like I'm stealing something right now. 'Cause this is gold, man.
It's the truth. You keep paying notes for me, and I like I said, it just things that like I already feel like that you elaborate on. Like I said, I don't have a problem now talking in like religion or anything like that with anybody. Cause I don't come from a place of like being judgmental or like, oh, like this is like it's not black or white for me. Mm-hmm. So I feel very comfortable like talking about God, and like I said, what you just said. Literally like the refinement process, like that's what I really, really believe we are on this God-given earth for. It's not to be this perfect person. It's for that refinement. Everything that's thrown at you, the trials and fires, like they're meant for you. They're not like not everyone here is dealing with the full same deck of cards or with the same circumstance. Like we're all given these different circumstances, these different challenges, these different trials, and that's God's plan for us. And so I like because your perspective is like all those things that happened to you, you're out here on this podcast speaking his name in pride and glory, and that was his process for you, was to get you to that point. Was that you could be this light, you could be this person, and that's the same process we're all trying to figure out. Is what is he putting in front of us that we need to solve and figure that can get us to that point of being those lights that he wants.
I love it. And
guys, you just hit on that note. Like I said, with everything that you went through, it's like you can look at it and be like, well, look, all this happened to me, and I figured it out. Mm-hmm. No, it's like you went through all that. That was God's challenge for you to come out on the other side in His glory.
Or you could go through all that stuff and be like, God don't love me. Look what He put me through. Like look at everything I've been through. I'm losing people in my family. I'm losing relationships. I'm losing money. Whatever that loss may be, you could just be like, and that's because of God. And at the end of the day, It is, but he wants you to get through that. Like I said, he has to break you so he can redesign you, because he has a plan for all of us. I don't care who you are, he has a plan for all of us. He has a purpose for you and a future. And so once you get to that point, you understand that and you see that within yourself, because God will put that inside of you. Jesus Christ will put that inside of you. And once he does, and you realize that, he wants you to do good. Not just, he wants you to do amazing, but not for yourself. He wants you to do amazing for him and others. Because he came, think about it, perfect person came to this earth and served. And so what makes you think because he did that, we shouldn't be serving other people? And that's why I said speaking is one of the most fulfilling things, because at the end of the day, I'm doing a service. Like, I'm changing lives. Like, yesterday I was at an event. Mind you, that they have 2 keynote speakers. I was a keynote last year. That's why they brought me back. I wasn't even a keynote this year, but I was the MC, so Master of Ceremonies, right? Mind you, I'm not even giving no, like, speech, right? But every single time I could jump in there and get a little shine, I did, right? Yeah. But people would come up to me after, like, oh my God, I just love your energy. You're so inspirational. I'm like, I ain't even saying nothing yet, right? But like how you said, right? They could just feel this presence, right? And I'm telling you, and you can only get that presence through Jesus Christ. Like, am I lying? I'm not lying. Seriously, man. And that's the great thing about life, right? Because we're living to serve others. And once you, and me and my wife, we talk about it all the time. Like, we never say, oh, yeah, I did this 10 times in a row. Why can't you do it? At the end of the day, I'm trying to serve each other, right? You want to keep serving them. You always want to keep that heart of love.
I love that, man. And, just going out on how your wife really helped fortify your faith in God and everything. I just have a quick testimony for myself, and it's actually with my boy right here.
Talk to me.
So me and him went to church probably, what was it, about 3 weekends ago, 3 Sundays ago,
2 weekends ago,
2 Sundays ago. Mind you, with me especially, we went to the Rock Church Outreach. A great church. It's a family church that I've always been to, but for me myself, I usually only go with my mom. You know what I'm saying? And I love John. I love my boys, but my boys, we don't really go to church like that. And I was actually speaking with him, and we went to our latest rave and everything together, and there was just some things there that we couldn't deny that was not of God. There were certain pictures, there were certain things, and you could just feel like our spirit man was telling me, especially because I know when I go to some these raves and everything, most of the time it's beautiful, but sometimes some of these DJs productions and everything, you could just feel it and sense it. Man, that's not of God, and man, my spirit will tell me that. So after this event, man, we were going, some things were happening in our lives. We were like, hey man, I think we need to go to church. And when he told me that was like a different chord that struck in me, because I was like, that's different. We're not going to, amusement park. We're not going to the bar. We're not going this and that. We're going to the house of God, a house that I haven't been to in quite a long time, a house that I haven't even checked in to visit in a very long time. There we go. So I was not only going home, I was going home with the brother. We're watching the message. Everything's doing good. I even told him, I was like, look, man, at the very end, they're going to do the altar call and everything. I was like, look, we just, we powered through that, and then, hey, we can get on out of here. But I was seeing a shift, a nice change in my boy, to where when we was doing altar call, his hand shot up, bow.
I love
that. That feeling of seeing my best friend, my brother, shoot his hand up to give his life to God, man, that felt better than winning a fantasy football game. That felt better than quite a few of my accomplishments, because that's an eternal win. That's something that there's no amount of money, no amount of anything in life that I can give to him, that none of us as a collective that can give to him. That's something that he can only do for himself. So the fact that he did that he submitted unto the Lord, it got me checking myself to where I was like, God, have I really been submitting to you? Because my boy did this without a doubt in his mind, and yet I've been doubting you. I've been doing these things, and yet he did it. Man, that I was clapping hard, man. I think I did a little video of him being up there. I was like, yeah, I was like, go John, and then you know what I'm saying. That was a proud brother moment,
Yeah.
and. But that's what we mean about when you go to God and you just feel that. And then your works afterwards. Like I said, he's the same guy. He's pushing through everything. But since that day, my boy, boom,
locked in.
And you feel that from people. Like I said, as my boy, I see that I feel that from him.
Exactly.
And it's like, that's how God works. And I love that. And I love these lessons from it. Because again, that was an unplanned event.
Exactly.
We planned to go to the Lord. I planned to maybe peek in the door. My brother right here, God was opening for him, but he ran through that door.
Man.
And I was sitting there still playing patty cake with it. Like, should I go in? I've already gave my life to God. I don't need to step
just like
on
me,
in.
right?
Yeah. So that's one of my biggest and thankful testimonies, was that God not only allowed to open the door for my boy, but my boy ran through it and hit his butt. You coming?
You coming?
Like,
I love it.
I thought you said I thought you said that this is his home and you've been here before. But man, you ain't been here in 2 years, big dog. That's how it was to me, man. So that's deep. That was my testimony, man, and I love it.
You should be the motivational speaker.
Man, hey, to everybody listening, I've already texted this man. You know that this man, I pray it so, and I'm gonna speak it. You're gonna give me tools and everything to where one day I'm gonna continue to empower people and everything else like that on a scale that even you are one day.
Hey, even greater, right? Because we're gonna get to a greater scale. Come on now, we can't stay on the same scale.
And that goes for me. That goes for both of them, because like I said, especially my brother right here, Matt, his gift is his hands. He could speak. He could tell you a whole bunch of information. He gonna unload it on you, even if you may not be able to see it. He gonna unload it, and it's great value information. But God gifted him with his hands, his works, and everything that he does with that. So, like I said, man, when you have a tribe, you have a tribe with Mr. Gavin. You know, you have other people that you have a tribe with now that you move together to further yourself and the community, because you're not only community pillars, but to truly be a community pillar, I feel like you got to really uphold with God, because that's the only pillar that's going to survive in these times.
Exactly. Yeah, and Gavin's my dog, man. We text each other like 5 a.m. He like, let's grind, baby. I'm like, you already know I'm up. But, yeah, man, and Jesus says it. You got to have community. Like, you're not here just to be by yourself, right? Nobody could get to a great point in their life or whatever by themselves. Like, you have to have community. And that's what's so important about going to church. You have like-minded people who understand, who would tell you, I've been through this, I've been through that, and this is how I got through it. And everybody will tell you who's got through it because of Jesus Christ. Like, there's no other answer, right? There's no, because I just, boom, I flipped the wand, I turned on the switch. Like, no, I got through it because Jesus Christ, he revealed it to me.
Like I said, man, this was a true conversation that we done touched, flowed, hit the Holy Spirit. I truly feel, because it says in the Bible, where two or more are gathered, he is with us.
Yep.
So like I say, man, to everybody that's rocking with us, that's been listening on this podcast, because right now we're at the point to where we're going to be wrapping this up shortly. This is called the final word. This is going to be a word to where you yourself, what is your message to the viewers that are listening, watching at home? You know, I leave the floor. It's yours.
Definitely. And I know a lot of people are like this, you know, who's been through a lot of things and feel like they can't get through it. And, you know, it has no age limit. Just because you turn 25, just because you turn 30, it doesn't mean that you're going to automatically think like, okay, I could get through this, right? But I advise you just to keep pushing, because, and it's just like for me riding a bike, right? Once I got like going through to get into the top of the mountain, I just had to keep it. I couldn't stop pedaling, because if I stopped pedaling, I would have felt that burn. I'm like, okay, I can't do it. But I just kept pushing. Ooh. And when I got to the top and I was able to turn back around, you're just flying down. That's how life is. You got to keep pushing until to the point where you're just flying. You're just flowing. And another thing is, you can only get to that point in life is when you find Jesus Christ. It's when you understand and you love him. It's when you live your life for him, right? And for his people. And once you get to that point, like I said, you are flying down the mountain. There's no more, you know, being on the rough side. Because even though you might go through things, you like, okay, Jesus wants me to go through this because I know he has a bigger plan for me. Boom.
Bam. Mic drop. Raindrop.
Love it, man. You guys have a beautiful podcast here. Keep doing the great things that you guys do, man. I see something in you guys. And like I said, man, just keep following Jesus, because the enemy's going to send people your way, things your way to detour from him. But it's up to you guys, right, to go on that path. You got to be one line, one accord with him.
On the line, one accord.
Yeah. Man. I don't want to take the final word, but I think just what you just said, we talked about confidence and empowerment, man. You want to talk about empowerment when you have that faith in God and Jesus Christ, man. There's no other confidence of just knowing that whatever is thrown your way, you're gonna figure it out.
Exactly.
And I use that testimony for what you said about the situation. Just like there was a lot of things happening in the month of September, where me and him were just like, dude, like what did we do? And it was just like I got to a point for like I want to say for like a good like 24 hours, 48 hours, like I'm just like, what the heck happened? Like, what did I do? And then I had to flip a switch. I was like, you know what? I can't sit here and dwell on all these things and blame this or blame that or blame that. It's like I had to flip the switch. Like whatever is happening, it's happening for a reason, and I just got to move myself forward. And I want to say it was a Wednesday, or it was a Wednesday night, and I came to our workout. We work out late at night, and I was just like, I'm not gonna be negative. It's not gonna be negative. I'm not gonna be negative. I'm not gonna sit here and be upset. Just like move that forward. Like I gotta figure it out. And there was that confidence, that clarity, like that I asked for, just like God letting me know, like this is not gonna break you. Like just keep moving forward. And it's just that, like I said, that if you want confidence, there's another confidence, like having that faith.
Exactly.
That God's got you. He's gonna take care of you.
Exactly. And other people might see it as arrogance, but no, it's just confident. Like a lot, like you're so confident in yourself. People be like, man, he's so arrogant, he's so boastful. But no, I'm just confident, and the reason I'm confident is because you already know the answer.
Because of the one and only.
The one and only. No one like him.
I love that, man. Like I said, brother, this has been amazing. This has been something that like I said, when we go into these podcasts, you know, I'm not going to lie. I come in with an expectation. I'm always open, but I have expectation. This is going to be a good podcast. Can't wait. We're going to hear some great things.
Definitely.
That's how great God is, because these podcasts always surpass whatever expectation I have. Because the word or anything that I thought I was going to receive, God said, nah, I'm going to quadruple whatever you thought it was. Because I knew we were going to talk about God, but to go into this in depth, to really feel what I feel, to the viewers or anybody listening, if you could be in this room and feel how we feel right now, you want to talk about fire? Man, I only had half of this little something, man. I'm talking about this real fire in here. And
I feel very at home in a very good place right now.
I love
if that gives the idea, it's just a very at home and in a very good environment right now.
Like I say, I don't even want to stop. But this is what. But it's one of those things to where we are gonna cut it in, and
we gotta do episode 2 for sure.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
Oh yes, we're gonna be added that on. So like I said, everyone, this is Mr. Kevon. If you have your Instagram, please tell the people. If you have anything else, any social media platform, you could just say it right now, so the people at home can go ahead and try to follow you and try to move forward.
Anything you got going on? I know you have a book. I know you have some stuff going on. Is there anything that you want to get out?
Definitely, man. I have a children's book. You can buy my merch at KevonLee.com. That's KEVONLEE.com. And all my Instagrams and platforms, social medias are Kevon Empowers. So the KEVON and then Empowers, EMPOWERS. That's where you can find me. And I would love to have you on.
Like I said, I love it, everyone. Again, this has been nothing short of a blessing. I thank you for rocking with us here on this beautiful day. And as always, everyone that's tuning in and to our brand new viewers, I thank you for rocking with us here at the Ascended Cast. So we're going to go ahead and sign off. This is your boy Shiloh.
Your boy John.
Your boy Matt.
Man, your boy Kevon Lee.
As always, be safe. Thank you, everyone, and God bless.